Hello and very warm welcome, uh, dear students and my colleagues. Today we are going to talk on one very important topic, that is cognitivism as a language philosophy. So let us see how we can define it. It says it's a language philosophy that focuses on understanding how the mind processes, stores, and produces language. Rooted in cognitive science and psychology, it explores how language acquisition, comprehension, and use are influenced by mental representations, structures, and processes. This philosophy contrasts with the behaviorist views, which emphasizes observable behavior over the internal mental states. So the definition goes to show three important things: that this philosophy is more concerned with the mind as compared to the behavior, because it is going to be something opposite to behaviorism. This has become with the combination of cognitive science and psychology, and it works very well to understand how language acquisition takes place. And that is why it is essential to study and to try to function language learning in that way. So let us see what important things are involved in this. First of all, there are some key features of this language philosophy. For example, the first one is mental representation, which says cognitivism posits that language is represented and processed in the mind through schemas, concepts, and mental models. So, language learning takes place under the schemas or the concepts or the mental models. It means that a type of pictures are created in the mind, and next time the mind works very hard in order to match the picture, one picture with the other, the words, one word with the other similar word. For example, if the picture, the word bird creates in the mind, the next time it could be for any type of other bird having different names. Second key concept is language as a cognitive skill. Language learning and use are viewed as inherently linked to other cognitive abilities like memory, problem solving, and perception. Dear students, everyone knows that our brain is capable of not only storing the memory, but also it is capable of decision making and problem solving as well. Cognitivism theory takes this language learning in the same sense. It says, as the brain is capable of doing other things, in the same way, the brain is capable of learning language also. The third feature of the language is going to be focusing on the meaning. Meaning is the central to language, with emphasis on how individual conceptualize and encode experiences linguistically. So that goes to focus on the individual's perception or his understanding of the language, what his mind, what that person's mind says. That type of thing, if it is associated with the learning of the language, that can be processed in that way. So therefore, it's an important point. And then comes the fourth point, which is about the generative and rule-based nature. Drawing from Chomsky's transformational generative grammar, cognitivism suggests that humans have innate capacities for a language governed by mental rules. So that is again very much important, because it goes to talk about the cognitivism and the rule based, and these rules according to this come after the innate quality. This innate quality makes us learn these rules also, memorize these rules also, and to practice these rules as well. So that is again very much important feature of the language. So these four features of the cognitivism are there. Some of the important people whom should be called key figures, they have come in here in order to tell how they are important. For example, Jean Piaget is the person who says that known for his theory of cognitive development, which outlines stages of intellectual growth in the children. So he says that language learning is a type of cognitive development, and that cognitive development capable or makes us capable of learning language with the intellectual growth, and it starts from the very beginning. There is another person, Jerome Bruner, who says and emphasizes on discovery learning and scaffolding, where learners build on prior knowledge with the support of a teacher or the guide. According to him, learning is based on the prior knowledge. The prior knowledge may be stored in the mind, and that mind tries to equalize one learning with the other, and in that way the theory continues to go on. Then is Lev Vygotsky he's Russian, so that is why this type of name is there. He says that the concept of zone of proximal development, highlighting the importance of social interaction in cognitive development. He says our cognition goes on with the help of our society also, because that zone of proximal development takes place only when we are exposed to our social interaction, and that all these things combine together in order to create this theory, cognitivism. So these people are important. That is Jean Piaget. It's a Swiss person, so that's why his pronunciation is possibly another one also. But the English people pronounce it like that. Jerome Bruner is there, and Lev Vygotsky is there. And then comes Noam Chomsky's point of view about universal grammar. According to him, a language is not just a bag of words. It's a system of rules that determines an infinite set of possible sentences, Chomsky said in his book Aspects of the Theory of Syntax. Well, from taking the clue from here that according to Chomsky, language is not simply words, it is going to be a kind of combination that can create rules, and on the basis of these rules, longer indefinite sentences can be constructed. For example, Chomsky proposed that all human languages share a universal structure. So this thing is more important with Chomsky, that these languages share universal structure. They have innate capacity. The human beings have the innate capacity of understanding, of developing these rules and using these rules as well. So according to Chomsky, universal grammatical rules enable the innate capacity of the people to continue to work with the language learning. Then is the view of Lakoff and his metaphor. Lakoff gave the kind of word, he says that there is a concept of metaphor very much associated with language learning. According to him, the essence of metaphor is understanding and experiencing one kind of thing in terms of another kind of thing. So this is very simple, and everybody knows that metaphors are used when we want to give or ascribe the qualities of one thing with the other. So the experience or understanding of one thing when is understood in terms of another, that becomes metaphor. As for example, cognitive linguistics like George Lakoff argued that metaphor is not just a linguistic device but a fundamental way of understanding and structuring experience. So according to him, metaphors also help us understand, and that also again goes to attach with itself with the innate characteristics that one metaphor is already present in the mind and that can be understood, that makes us understand the other things as well. So one thing, one experience is learned according to Lakoff in terms of another as well. Then is the language categorization. The linguists like Elinor Roche explored how categories in the mind influence language and thought. For instance, the term bird evokes a prototypical image like a sparrow rather than a penguin. So it means that there are images created in the mind. These images help us understand the other things which resemble those images. Elinor Roche says in that way. According to him, cognition and perception shape the categories of our linguistic and mental experience. So, our experience in learning of language is attached with our mental experience, and that is the formation of the categories. Another, the view of the neurologists is there, which say that language processing takes place in the mind, and that is called as neuro-linguistic studies. According to these studies, Broca, the mind area, is really very much important because it is associated with the language processing, syntax, and semantics. For example, he says, one of the neurolinguistics says, the mind is not a blank slate. It actively processes input to construct knowledge and meaning. So mind is all the time working. It's never stopping. It is learning. It's acquiring. It is shaping, reshaping. And that was the kind of philosophy given by Steven Pinker in his theory of the language instinct in 1994. Then comes the second, language acquisition. that is related more to Stephen Krishan, who has his own view about language learning. For example, he says that acquisition of language occurs when language is understood, not memorized or drilled. So Krishan's point of view is more related to learning of the language, because language learning is something different, language memorization is something different. Krishan input hypothesis, for example, suggests that learners acquire language when exposed to comprehensible input slightly above their current level. So it is not the kind of ununderstanding, it is the kind of understanding of language. So if somebody is able to comprehend the language level which is offered to him, which is superior, senior to, is already learned things, then definitely learns all that. So that again is the emphasis by Stephen Krishan on the language learning, on the innate capacity and capability of language learning. And then there are certain applications. For example, this theory can be used in language learning, this theory can be used in artificial intelligence, this theory can be used in cognitive theory as well. All these theories are interrelated with each other with respect to the working of the brain. Sometimes we use it for communicative language teaching, sometimes we use it user intent in AI, etc. And then comes the kind of emphasis on the problems of the language learning. So therefore, these are some of the applications which are not necessary to know. However, the people who teach and try to explain the things with respect to this one, they may be getting knowledge out of that. And here we come finally, that what is the conclusion of the whole discussion? Cognitivism as a language philosophy emphasizes the interplay between language and the mind. So it is based on two things, the interplay of two things. One is the language, other is the mind. These two interplay, these two work together in order to create understanding of the human being. And they offer a framework that integrates linguistics, psychology, and neuroscience to understand humans acquire language. It means that these two things, that is the brain and the language, help each other in order to join the hands of linguistics, then psychology, then neuroscience, in order to create an environment where the human beings can have a good understanding of the human language. So that is why it is important. Dear students, hopefully you have learned something out of it, and surely if you like it, do not fail to hit the subscribe button and the like button. See you in some next video very soon. Thank you for watching.